Hello, my name is William Devlin. I'd like to talk to you about investing in your retirement. It's something that's often overlooked for a young person just starting out a career or even switching careers. Sometimes the financial need tends to outshadow the need for saving for your retirement. But I want to talk to you about that today and let you know that you potentially could be missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars in your retirement savings just by putting it off. So, if you want any kind of life when you retire, you're going to want some kind of a savings. Now, that's pretty obvious. What's not so obvious are your financial needs at that point in your life. Those are hard to determine. You can't really nail anything down there. So, you're going to want to save more than you think you're going to need. The best vehicle, I think, for doing that is utilizing a Roth IRA. Now, a lot of people tend to think that Social Security and Medicare are going to be something that they're always going to be there. They're always going to find a way to fund it. They're always going to find a way to make it work. That may not be the case. So I'm going to provide some evidence that relying on Social Security and Medicare isn't the best idea when planning for your retirement, and how utilizing a Roth IRA as early as you can is going to be the best option. So starting out with Social Security. The problem with Social Security is the people are living longer and longer. So the main issue that we have is that retirement savings that you do have tends to get stretched thinner the longer you live, the longer you're not working. The average lifespan's getting up into its 80s here. That shows this. That's what this chart is showing. I got this from Health System Tracker. This is the average of comparable countries. That's the United States down there at the bottom. All the booze and scripts apparently put us down there at the bottom of the list. But ultimately, you got about 80 years of life on average. These are expectancies at birth. So ultimately, that's 15 years at least that you have to be utilizing your funds. You want to have at least 15 years worth of money. The problem that you're running into is I got another study here. I got this from an article in Investopedia. You probably can't read it. So a 2019 Government Accountability Office study found that nearly 48% of Americans 55 and older don't have any retirement, no pension, no traditional nest egg, nothing. Those that do have retirement funds don't have enough money in them. And it looks like on average 56 to 61-year-olds only have 163,577. And the ages 65 to 74 have even less than that. So what that means is, out of the people that actually have a retirement fund, which is that 50%, half of them are getting less than $1,000 a month. So that's severely going to stress out that Social Security system and the Medicare system. Obviously, when you get older, you're going to need some health care. Now, if you go to the actual Social Security website, they say they're funded through 2037. You hear some different conflicting stories on that, so we can't say for sure we could trust Social Security, but ultimately there's a finite line there. With people living longer, people having this generation of people retiring having less savings, and healthcare costs going up, both of those systems are going to be so stressed. Medicare, in on its own, is already on the verge of collapse. So if you're thinking you're going to retire and being able to take advantage of these, I would just suggest that you consider just them not even being around. And if they are going to be around, they're going to be completely different animals. All right. So now that I've demonstrated some of the shortcomings and the potential future issues for this, let's move on to what you can do about it. How can you combat not having any federal help? Well, obviously the first step to figuring out how much you can save is to make a budget. Now, we don't need to go into all the intricate details of making a budget. This is just an example. If you were making about $50,000, which should be pretty comparable to someone just getting out of school who's got a skill set and a little bit of education. So if you're not making at least $50,000, maybe try to find another job, but that's usually where you're going to be starting out. That comes out to about $3,000 a month that you're pulling in. So that just kind of gives you a breakdown. Ultimately, what you want to be searching for is that $500 in your pocket at the end of the month. Now that is what is going to be used for investment. So keep an eye on that $500. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Of course, it's not a bad idea to have about 3 months worth of savings in your pocket, just so if any issues come up as far as maintenance on the car, something breaks, health insurance, you know, unforeseen costs, something that goes through the roof, you're going to want that padding, and you're going to want to put money back into that padding to replenish it, mainly because it'll give you some financial security, and you'll feel a little bit better about taking that $500 every month and putting it into a fund you're not going to see for about 30 years. A budget plan that I think is good to look into is this 50-30-20 plan. There's a lot of information out there on the internet. It's been around for a long time. Definitely suggest doing that. So ultimately, make a budget, find out how much you can save, and then start saving. Especially if you're getting into a employer who's got some pretty good 401ks. Now, not all of them do. Ultimately, if you got a 401k with your employer that has a matching option, definitely utilize that. That's free money. You're going to want to at least max out that match first. That's what you want to do with whatever savings that you got left over. If they don't have a match, if they don't have a 401k, they don't have anything, find a Roth. Just open up a Roth somewhere with the bank and contribute to that every month. You want to do that as early as you can. Now, you are paying taxes on any kind of Roth contributions. Now, with 401k, the benefit is that you are not paying any taxes on it, so you're putting more money in, you're investing it early, so you got that big chunk that grows. Now, the downside is Uncle Sam wants his money, so you're going to get these RMDs, that required minimum distribution. Now, they will dictate how you get your money, how often you get, well, monthly, but how much money you're getting every month. So if you want a little bit of freedom from that, if you want to be able to take out your money when you want it, that's where Roths are a really awesome thing, because you don't need to take it out. If there's an economic downturn, you want to leave it in there and wait for the market to come back up, so you can afford to do that. You can do that with your Roth. You can't do that with a 401k. Now, the limit to that, probably the only downside to a Roth, is that you can only put $6,000 in a year. So remember that 500 that I was talking about, $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. You get that done early, you're going to be amazed by how much money you can make with the magic of compounding interest, often referred to as the eighth wonder of the world. So do yourself a favor, take a look at some Roth IRA calculators. The internet's full of them, and get an idea of how much you can contribute to a Roth. Punch in those numbers, and then just see once you retire. And with us, in the born after 1960, it's retiring at 67. So that is going to be the best vehicle for saving. It's $6,000. Most people can find a way to squeeze that out and obtain that $500 a month. So in conclusion, we touched on how Social Security and Medicare aren't something that you should rely on with retirement, how budgeting is going to be the best tool to find out how much money you can actually save in retirement, how the Roth IRA is the best vehicle for contributing to your savings early on, and through the magic of compounding interest, how you could be saving a whole ton of money. You potentially could fund your entire retirement with just an IRA if you get started early and aggressive enough. So thank you for your time. Please invest wisely, and I will see you guys later.